Hey friends, my name is Daniel Yang, National Director of Churches of Welcome at World Relief, and I'm here with
I'm Matthew Soerens. I'm the Vice President of Advocacy and Policy for World Relief.
some of you probably know we're experiencing one of the greatest humanitarian crises, not just in our time, but in world history. Over 110 million people are forcibly displaced from their homes. So that means that there are factors that are causing them to leave their home, their region, and oftentimes even their country. And tens of thousands of them are showing up to the United States every year as officially recognized as refugees. And many people are involved in trying to resettle refugees, but you're also probably very familiar with the historic numbers of migrants coming through the southern border. And it's just such a really unique cultural moment, one that we've never seen before in our lifetime. Matt, can you talk about why you think this year is really important for churches to get engaged?
Yeah, Daniel, we've of course been doing this at World Relief for decades, and I've been at it for almost 2 decades myself. So in some ways, this isn't new, but I think this year in particular, as the number of people displaced around the world is at this all-time high, it's also a moment when I think the country is deciding how do we want to respond to people who've been displaced from their homes, and the church in the United States is in that spot as well. How do we want to respond? Do we want to be known for welcome? Do we want to be known for people who are saying, keep those people out? Do we want to bury our heads in the sand and pretend this has nothing to do with us? And our hope at World Relief is to really equip local churches to stand up as churches of welcome, to say, we want to be the people who are living out that great commandment from Jesus to love our neighbors as ourselves, which the Good Samaritan story makes pretty clear would include a vulnerable traveler of a different ethnicity or a different religion who's in need. We want to be people who embrace the Great Commission, this opportunity to make disciples of all nations, which we can and should do in other nations to the ends of the earth, but also in our own communities as God in his sovereignty makes those possibilities for us. We want that to be the reputation of the church in a year when, with the presidential election happening, there will be a lot of rhetoric about refugees, about immigrants. We don't want to get into the partisan side of that rhetoric. We want to stay really far away from that, but we do want to very boldly affirm what the Bible has to say about God's love for vulnerable people and to make that message really clear to a watching world.
Yeah, you and I mean, we wrote a book during the 2020 election and made several edits because of the election. And I think a lot of pastors feel a little bit of a nervousness this year with the 2024 election. And from your perspective, in terms of, I mean, because you travel and you're constantly speaking in churches, like what is it about like the way that the politics is trying to frame the issue right now that maybe churches, we can kind of like have a more direct frontline approach that we can actually be a part of helping improve the narrative?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is American Christians are being discipled in how they think about immigration, either by their churches or by talk radio or social media or the any other number of sources. And that's always been true. It's probably true on every issue. But I think sometimes the church has sort of been felt a little bit meek on how they talk about this issue because it's become so polarizing. Our experience at World Relief over many years, including through some politically polarizing times, is that the church is actually really desperate. The people in our churches are really desperate for biblical teaching on this topic and then for opportunities to engage in ministry, to actually be in relational connections to refugees, to other immigrants. And that's something that we can facilitate at World Relief, and we're really excited about some new ways to facilitate that through Churches of Welcome. Um, our experience has been that when the church actually does that seemingly risky step of stepping in and saying, we are going to love our neighbors, and this is how we're going to do so, and we're going to explain it, from the scriptures, not from a partisan perspective. The large majority of evangelical Christians are really eager to engage that. The large majority of evangelical Christians want that biblical perspective. They want that opportunity to live out their faith. And as they do so, this becomes not just a political issue, it becomes a personal issue that affects people whom they know, whom they have been in relationship with. And of course, they realize in new ways that it is a biblical issue as well, with really long-term ramifications for the future of the American church and for the church globally.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're putting together a small group of people. We're calling them the charter members of Churches of Welcome, which are those that are coming alongside World Relief to help us launch a national movement of churches that are inviting other churches into a journey of discipleship around this. It's not just about like becoming a more immigrant-friendly church. It really is a part, a devotion towards partnering with what God's doing in America, with the world coming to America, and then also seeing the global church emerge from American soil. And so charter members really are going to be a part of helping us to launch this. And our invitation to you is to consider journeying alongside of us, especially this year as we're building churches of welcome and taking really 45 years of knowledge and practice in cities that we've been engaged in and making that available to any church in America. I mean, World Relief has been a leader in this for almost 5 decades. And now we're saying, how do we just take what we've learned, the tools, the people, and the resources, and how do we make that available to every single church, churches of 70 people to churches of 7,000 people? Really excited about this because I really do think God is in this. It's because you think about the social factors that have caused the world to converge here in America. There's no one factor. You think about what's happening all around the world, and so you have to think, oh, at the end of the day, God is doing this, but it's only the church that's asking that question, and so it's also only the church that can provide the right kind of engagement. So, as a charter member church, you're helping us to launch this. You're helping to not just improve the narrative of the politics around immigration, but you're helping other churches really step into the stream of what God is doing by bringing people around the world here. So, really, thank you for your thankful for your time, and really asking you to consider being a church of welcome and a charter member.